Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with the one, the only, Dr. Joseph Sinda. Today is his birthday, and I'd like to say
Hello.
happy birthday, Doc.
Happy birthday to me and happy birthday to all of you that have birthdays out there today. And every day, I wish you happy birthday. Um, you know, life is so short, and we don't really understand that because nobody gives us a punch card and said, this is when you're checking out. So Frank Sinatra, who I was fortunate enough to work with for 11 years, told me, he said, this is the way to do it. Live every day like it was your last day on earth and do everything that you can in that day, and you'll never have any regrets, even if you go to sleep and not wake up.
Wow.
I said, wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And he says, that is the secret of how to live your life to the fullest. And he said, a lot of people don't understand that. And I said, well, did somebody really, really wise tell you that? Yeah, but I can't tell you who. So I said, oh, okay. I understand. But he said, the other thing I can tell you, before you die, and he holds up his hand with 5 fingers spread out and his opposing thumb, and he says, if you have 5 real friends, by the time you actually succumb and die, you are a very rich man, even if you have pennies in your pocket.
Wow.
You are a very rich man. And I said, wow. Again, this is the kind of stuff that he would tell me so that, I would keep on my toes and be the magic man for him and everything. But unbelievable. All that stuff is still so true and so it's not going to change, okay? So you doomsters out there, okay, the aliens, and I'm not talking about people from Mexico, they're already here, all right? And they're vacationing, and they've been here for centuries, okay? And they've been breeding with us and everything. Do you think for a moment that they're going to let this planet be taken over by some idiotic producers that are making some wacky alien movie and going to put fear in the hearts of all the people and it's like the movie Mars Attacks. Jack Nicholson was way ahead of its time.
You have a new message.
Way time. Okay. Now a movie like that, people would laugh more. Okay. But there's nothing that's going to happen like that. Okay. Because we're all sharing the same sphere. This whole global Mother Nature picture. Whether you believe in a God or an infinite being or Mana or Allah or whatever. Okay, and I say I don't condone any religions whatsoever. Okay, that doesn't mean that I have to be a part of them, but I don't condone them whatsoever, and I don't get involved in politics because religion and politics make very strange bedfellows, and they need one another in order for them to be surviving on either end. They both create wars, they both resolve wars, and they both use wars as a tool. I don't think aliens that are so advanced that they use war in any single way whatsoever. I think they just go to another galaxy and get another host like Earth.
Wow.
There's billions of galaxies out there. Okay. And these guys know how to travel through wormholes. Okay, and I'm not promoting what's his name's television show, the Wormhole, Through the Wormhole, which I watch, and I think is very intelligent. I like to watch things that make you think, and maybe shake you a little bit as to, could this happen or could this not happen, or is this a fallacy, or is it a prank? Whatever. Mm-hmm. A new movie came out last weekend. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
It was like a magic show. Now you see it, now you don't. With Mark Ruffalo and about 4 or 5 other named actors in there, including my friend Sir Michael Caine and the black actor that's in that was with him in Batman.
I know who you're talking about. I just can't think of his name at the moment.
Well, he is also the key MC of the television show, which just got renewed again. I think for the 3rd season, Through the Wormhole. Is
it Morgan Freeman?
Yeah, it is Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
And I actually, via a colleague of mine, I'm actually going to be going after Morgan Freeman to hire him in a film.
Wow.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how I'm going to do it, but he's going to know, and he'll have a great time in this film, and he'll love to be in it because of certain circumstances that I know. So when you go as a producer or working with a casting agent, when you know what hobbies certain actors or actresses, and when I say actors, that means male and female now. It has for almost 20 years. So I shouldn't have to say the word actress.
Yeah.
But when you know their hobby, their main hobby, and you can cater to it and do something around that, and contact them either through their agent or their manager, or the best one is the publicist. Because a publicist deals with actors like more than an agent and more than a manager. They're constantly on the phone and emailing them and texting and everything. And is this okay? Is that okay? You know, am I approved for this? And can I do that? And whatever. The publicist lets them know this is cool. This is not cool. This is something that we have to watch about. This is this. This is that. So a publicist, they're kind of like really important, and you don't hear about them that much behind the doors in Hollywood or in New York or in London or wherever you make your film, even in Boston. The publicist is a key element that's very, very important, because they're working right with the agent, right with the manager, and are speaking with the talent on a daily basis. And I mean, they have their cell phone number, they have their number that's in their shower, they have their second or their third phones, and they have all their real coded, encrypted email addresses and everything. They have all that stuff. They know who your boyfriend is, who your girlfriend is, who your dog or your cat are, who if your mom's alive, your dad's alive, your siblings, whatever. They know every freaking thing about you. And that's why they're so trusted.
Well,
because
it kind of sounds like the internet, Doc, because on the internet nowadays you can read everything about somebody. You know, anything that's posted on Facebook, Twitter, any social networking site.
well, who do you think puts that stuff out there?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has to responsibly, unless it's all lies, put that stuff out there, and
Uh-huh.
that person is the publicist. They're the ones who put it on Facebook. They're the ones who put it on any other social network that you can name. Even the Hispanic ones, the Chinese ones, they do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
They do all of that, and they even transfer it into another language and put it on that particular website in another country with the approval of the artist.
Wow.
Yeah. So I hope we're learning something here. But usually people say, "Oh, you only go after the agent," and then the agent's not going to talk to you unless that they see that you have the money. The money is in all the bank. Who's behind the project?
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Who's the director? Right.
Right.
And if it's a first time indie person and you're not somebody's son or nephew or somebody famous, you're SOL, and you know what that means.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So you got to come up with the goods, and you got to have a way. And so if they turn you down, that's their prerogative. And I just say, I've got this, I've got that. I can come up with a full contract. Okay, we will pay your pay for play, and we will put that in writing and everything. We will not show proof of funds because the proof of funds could be fraud.
Mm-hmm.
There are banks even perpetrating. Let's say you put in $3 million, and they say you got $30 million. They times it times 10.
Wow.
Just to make them look bigger and you look bigger. Okay, and these are big banks, and some of them are going to get busted. So in London now, a group of guys went around and were doing that. They were flashing cash, and they were doing it in proof of funds, and they were only having it in the account for 24 hours or less. That's called flashing cash. Highly illegal. Those guys are going to get busted now, and they're actually going to serve jail time.
Mm-hmm.
And they screwed it up for everybody in London because other people got the idea. Oh, if they can do it, we can do it. So now in London, the guys who have money, the big investors, and even the banks, they're not giving proof of funds. The only thing that they're giving is the contract with all the stuff in there, when escrow closes, the date, when you're getting your money by the date and everything, who's getting paid by this and that and that, mm-hmm. and the whole breakdown and everything. That's what they're giving, okay? And that is going to become more popular here now in America, but not yet in America. They still want proof of funds, but I'm telling you, people, it's not such a good idea. Get the contract, which has everything in it, more than the proof of funds, and there's mm-hmm. no way for them to get out of switching your money out or switching bait or bait and switch. Yeah. No way. No way. When that contract is solidified, done, man, that's ironclad, that's done. That's it. So, what did we learn now, and what do we want to learn? Tell me what you want to learn. It's my birthday, and you got 5 questions. Not 3, 5. I'm in a good mood.
Okay, let's see here. My first question is, how did you hear about Frank Dukes and Kumite, and how did you get connected with Frank Duke's our mutual friend, Doc.
Shortly after my bar mitzvah, I heard about a kid in North Hollywood. I was in Burbank, and Frank Dukes is considerably younger than me, but I heard that this guy was young, and he was very big for his age. And I believe that I bumped into his brother years later, and I believe Frank Dukes went to North Hollywood High, which is a very tough school back then. Very tough. Even it's tough today. Okay. But I mean, I know he always had fights coming out of that school just to get the heck out of there.
Mm-hmm.
He was fighting all the time. But they had a dojo, I believe, in North Hollywood, and he started at a very early age. I believe when he was a teenager. I came by there a couple of times, and I watched. We didn't get formally, I think, introduced till later, and I don't know what the exact date was. But I
Alert
saw
from
him.
Twitter.
I saw him fight in North Hollywood.
Message from maybe Burkika.
But I'm one of the only guys still alive that actually saw him in Kumites before.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I can tell you that the movie has a sense or a feel of what it was like for Frank, because Frank verbally described everything to the directors and the producers verbatim. I mean, he painted images for them that it looks like this. It actually looks like this. No, it does not look like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way this was and that was. And so he tried to do the very best job that he could. I believe he was a big help to the writers, and I think he actually wrote some of the lines himself or rewrote them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he got credit for that, but I think he may have got a producer's credit as well. He certainly should have. He certainly should have, and he did help in choreographing most all the major sequences of fighting. Every sequence. He had a hand in it, and he was right there. He never was not on the set when they were filming for one reason or another. He was always there, dedicated, because he knew that was his life story, even at an early age, and you got one shot at that.
Yeah.
So he was attentive and there all the time. And I believe he gave great feedback into it. I don't know why they have not made Mr. Bloodsport yet. They should have more than a decade ago. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
when he could actually move around with more, with more agility and everything. It's amazing to me that this man who had a stroke, and on one side of his body, I mean, there was nothing going on. And Sky Benson and a couple of other people nurse that man back from the dead.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got a call today from Sky Benson and his lovely wife, and they sang me happy birthday and did a magic act.
Wow.
Yeah, Sky Benson is his number one right hand protege,
Mm-hmm.
and he is a professional close at hand magician. So I would say that his fists and his wrists are perhaps as in the top 10 in the world, the quickest.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him do card tricks and coin tricks and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
blindingly fast, right in front of you. And the amazing thing is, the closer they get to you,
Uh-huh.
the more they're apt to actually pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the magicians or illusionists or close hand guys won't reveal that to you, but he shared that with me. He said, the closer I am to you, if I'm right on top of you, there's no way for your peripheral to catch what I'm going to do. He
Amazing.
said, he said, your eyes are that sharp that you might just catch a blinding of a fraction of a second of it, but you won't catch the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that is a fact that I'll always remember, and that I'm proud that you taught me.
Wow.
So I'm sharing all this stuff with you. So now here's a guy, Sky Benson,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know his actual birth date right now, but I know that he is a trainer of was it MML fighters?
MMA fighters?
It's
MMA
9:30.
fighters.
Yes.
Thank you. He trains MMA fighters, and he has some of the best in the world, and he enjoys training them now. Okay, so another guy who's across the world and who comes over here is a guy by the name of Don Clovis.
Mm-hmm.
Cloives. And he has a company called Joy to the World Films. And he is one of the godfathers of the creating of MMA.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, he's one of the architects and the designers of creating the MMA. Now, I come to find out from the wrestling guys
Mm-hmm.
that the largest growth of new sports is not from wrestling, but it's wrestlers who went and learned how to box and do martial art moves,
Mm-hmm.
and are doing MMA.
Yeah, because there's been quite a few that has done wrestling entertainment, and then they'll cross over to the MMA. So.
Yeah, so there's this whole movement, and I think that there's going to be more big sporting events that we haven't even seen yet. Much like the was it the WWE does the giant 4 times a year the SmackDown.
Yeah, the WrestleMania is their Super Bowl.
WrestleMania, which is their Super Bowl, which is financially just a mega hit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very successful. But MMA is going to come up with teams, both male and female,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to have something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, I know that Frank Dukes back in 19 2003.
Uh-huh.
When he taped me, and I saw Sky Benson there and his other guy and everything. They told me that they had plans to do that and do that octagon kumite with those special uniforms and everything, touch sensitive, so that there would be no blood and no breaking of bones or anything, much like fencing is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, and I know that that he got a patent on all of that. He got a patent on the arena.
Uh-huh.
He got a patent on the uniforms and the touch sensitive parts on the uniform, and it's just that something fell through financially, and that thing didn't come to fruition. But I know that he had all of that, and for some reason, when Don Clovis wanted to help him with that and everything, he was traveling around so much that he never got back with Don Clovis, and that didn't happen. Well, he was so busy traveling,
Mm-hmm.
he forgot to email or Skype Don Clovis, and Don Clovis thought he left him out there, to dry, whatever.
Yeah, in the cold. Yeah.
In the cold, in the desert,
Mm-hmm.
as they say. So I told him that wasn't the case, and I've been able to keep my relationship with Frank Dukes, and I've been able to keep up my relationship with Don Clovis.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's hard to do business and still have somebody appreciate who you are, respect who you are, don't talk behind your back, whatever, and move forward.
Yeah.
It's really hard because there are so many jealous people out there that once you get to be a famous sports figure and a celebrity,
Uh-huh.
and believe me, sports figures now are definitely celebrities. That's for sure. They're making more money than singing artists and actors per se. They're making more money, and their contracts are just unbelievable, especially when they get into all the companies that sponsor them.
Mm-hmm.
All that sponsorship money on top of the contracts. That's when their bonuses are just parlaying and going through the roof.
Wow.
Yeah. So I know that the great golfer.
Are you thinking of Tiger Woods?
Yeah, I am thinking of Tiger Woods. I know that the great golfer Tiger Woods, I know who his rep is, who sponsors him in sporting companies and everything. And do you know who that person is?
No, sir, I don't.
Well, it's the one and only Michael, Mr. Haynes himself.
Really?
Yeah, he owns his own sporting company that represents sport figures. He's got some big sporting names, and
Wow.
certainly Tiger Woods is definitely one of them. So those guys have been together through the good times, the lean times, the divorces, and everything. And so And both those guys are seriously very well heeled as far as financially and other things. I mean, they own restaurants, they own hotels, they own condominiums,
Mm-hmm.
they own business offices. I mean, their portfolios look extraordinary.
Wow.
Ooh, I got a call coming in.
Oh, that was on my end. I declined it, Doc.
All right, I declined it too. So you got a couple more questions. So shoot away.
Okay, Doc. My second question is there a story that you could share with me about David Carradine?
Alert from FaceTime. Dora Mary Amanda's back.
Yeah, there is a story about David Carradine. David Carradine, when he was in his 20s, found out that I was at Warner Brothers, and that I was a huge fan of his father. Okay. And I knew that I was a world-class fencer.
Mm-hmm.
Because my teacher was Joseph Vince, V-I-N-C-E. Joseph Vince was the 5-time world champion and won 5 Olympic championships as a coach.
Wow.
Yeah. 5 times in a row, my friend. Ain't too many people can do that. And he told me that during his lifetime, that Basil Rathbone, who he taught, and John Carradine Sr. had this great fight in this movie. And the villain was John Carradine.
Mm-hmm.
The fight, dig this, the fight, they prepared for 6 weeks practicing.
Uh-huh.
When they started the actual fight, and I saw the footage, they didn't cut till almost 27 minutes later. They went through up and down stairs and this way and that way and over flames, and you can't believe it. It's just unimaginable, even in today's standard. And I said, was there a stand-in for any of them? He said, yes, but they're so good that they refused to have their stand-ins do any of the fencing for them. I mean, they were really into it. So I actually was allowed to see that footage because I went to the director and I said, hey, man, I'm Mervyn LeRoy's godson, and I hear that you put out this and that you've got actual footage of it that you cut and everything, which is like maybe 6 minutes on the screen, but you've got the whole other reel of the real thing from the start to the finish. I'll pay you money to see that reel. Oh, don't be ridiculous. He said, if you want to see the reel, I'll set up the reel for you, and we'll watch it over at Warner Brothers. You bring the popcorn. Well, buddy, I brought popcorn and drinks and hamburgers, not even hot dogs, right from the commissary. Okay, and I saw this, and I said, I can't believe it. These guys are just world class. I mean, actors that are actually, going at it and everything, and there were shields on there and stuff like that. He said, but if they had, they could have cut each other up pretty bad, pretty nasty, he said. And he said that was without a doubt. They were very careful not to, really carve each other up. And I said, well, okay, that's great to know. Even in the fury and the heat of that, there was still that much of the temperament. So I told David, who was, I think, he was an actor on Bonanza.
Bonanza.
He was coming on. I think he was coming on Bonanza, and I said, David, I know you through your father, and I just saw this unbelievable footage with Basil Rathbone and them fencing, and the actual fight went on for almost 30 minutes. And he dropped his jaw, and he said, there's a myth that footage actually exists. How did you get to see it? And I said, the only way I got to see it was I went right to the director and told him who I was and everything, and said, if that footage is real, I'm going to pay, and I'm going to have it screened, and I want to see it with you.
Mm-hmm.
You right there. And he said, you got balls. I said, what are you doing this Thanksgiving? And he said, well, we're having a Thanksgiving dinner with Dad out at the ranch. Why? I said, well, gee, I'd like to invite you to my family. He said, I'll tell you what. Why don't you come to our Thanksgiving and bring anything you want from your Thanksgiving, like, food-wise or whatever.
Uh-huh.
So I brought food and I brought flowers, enough to fill the whole house, with flowers and everything. And they were overwhelmed. And I sat in between John, who was at the head of there, and I sat right next to him, and right across from him on the other side was David.
Uh-huh.
And I told him the story that Joseph Vince, what was my teacher and everything, and he said, "Are you serious?" He says, because that's my teacher, and also Basil Rathbone's teacher as well. I said, he's probably one of the greatest coaches in fencing of all time. And I come to find out while he was alive that he was. He was like, the basketball coach at UCLA,
Uh-huh.
the one who died just not too long ago, and the one that they named the stadium after. He was the most winning coach in all of professional and amateur fighting. But he told me when he was a young man in his teens, Joseph Vince did,
Uh-huh.
he said, where I come from, they actually still had real dueling with not just pistols, but with sabers and with epee swords.
Wow.
And I'm going, what? He said, yeah, I saw a few men die in front of me. He wouldn't say that he killed them, but he said, I saw a few men die in front of me. So I'm saying he either was one of the seconds, because they had seconds, or he was actually involved in the duel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going, wow. I mean, it blew my mind,
Wow.
So I told the story to my class in Pasadena Playhouse about having the Thanksgiving and everything, and he said, so what happened? I said, the son of a gun, the old man, he didn't challenge me to a duel, but he wanted to know if I could do best 2 out of 3 with, with a mask and fencing uniform and an épée, a French épée.
Wow.
And I, you know what? When somebody like that puts you on the spot and everything, you either have to show up or crumble or die and fade away. And I said, no, man, I am who I am. You got the mask? I didn't bring my foil with me. He said, I've got 10 foils that you can pick out. And we'll get one of these masks to fit you, and one of these uniforms is going to fit you. And I was stealth then. I mean, really stealth. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I had an 8-pack and big broad shoulders, and I had a pretty good long arm reach. And my wrist was pretty amazing because I knew martial arts as well as fencing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I was a pro fencer in his classes, fencing people who had won the British Open, the French Open, the Italian Open, right? And the German Open. These are open with all kinds of great fence, and I held my own up. I won a lot. So you know what?
What, Doc?
I won 2 out of 3.
Wow.
And David looked at me and he said, you are freaking ass amazing. And then after that, I believe is when he did the television show. And he would allow me to come on and watch him on the television show. And I used to hang with him. We used to have lunch and kid around and everything. And he knew that I knew martial arts and that I knew Frank Dukes. And he said, listen, Frank Dukes is somebody that I never, drunk or whatever, ever want to get into arena with, because I may never come back. That's what Frank Dukes doesn't know, that David Carradine said that to me a long time ago. A long time ago. After he had seen a blood sport, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he went and found out who the real Frank Dukes was and everything. And he said, are you kidding me? I'm not going to fight this guy on screen. The guy will fucking kill me. On the screen or off the screen, he will fucking demoralize me.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him and I said, well, he's a pretty damn good actor, but you're right about killing you. You're right about killing you. You are not that good to hold up to a world-class guy like that. You got to remember, he's the quickest in this, the quickest in that, and he owns all these Guinness Book of World Records. And at that time, I think he had like 26 Guinness Book of World Records.
Wow.
And I pulled out the book, and I showed David right in front of him, look, he owns that record, that record, that record. And he looked at all the times and everything and what he did, and he said, Jesus Christ, he said, the guy's a phenom. I said, he is absolutely a phenom, and he's one of the greatest martial artists that's ever lived, including Bruce Lee and everybody else and all the great grandmasters. He is one of the greats himself.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he happens to not be Asian, and he happens to be Caucasian, and he happens to be Canadian, you can't even put a feather on that. That doesn't, once you're in the arena with him, that doesn't mean anything. Eric Lee used to tell me, he said, he's got the reach, he's got the touch, and he's going to go in there and knock you out before you can blink your eye and adjust. That's the name of his game. He's going to put your lights out before you can either put up a fight. That was it. That was his theory, and that was his great form of his actual, fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the half a second before that bell went, he was already in a punching mode to put your lights out, take you out of the equation. Period. He didn't want to spend more than a minute with you. I mean, that's the God's honest truth. And Frank will tell you that to his whatever. I mean, that's what I knew, and I know that Sky Benson knew that too.
Wow.
And the best offense is what? The best defense.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so and that's part of his curriculum for what he does in his form of karate and martial arts. He has his own methods and
yes.
and yeah, and Frank Ninjutsu. Help me with the name.
He has it's called Duke's Ryu.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's basically his form and his methods and how he goes about teaching them. And he teaches all over the world now to people that you could hear about, and then he teaches to people that you will never hear about, that he has signed that he's not allowed to talk to them forever.
Mm-hmm.
It just because nobody's supposed to know about it, and so I know that he was highly involved with training the Navy SEALs at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And look at how bad those bad boys are.
Oh yeah, and he's also a story I remember, Doc, of you telling me that he was so surprised about how well I knew of his career and who he was. He actually called you on the phone and told you all about it when me and Frank had our first meeting.
Yeah, I remember that phone meeting like it was yesterday. And he said, called me by my nickname, Joey,
mm-hmm.
which is my professional name when I was an actor, Joey Sinda. He said, Joey, you will not believe this. There is a kid here that we flew over to go see with Sky Benson and me. And this kid knows my career better than anyone living. And he has a living museum of me. And I'm seeing it, and I have never seen anything documented and put together this well and this concise anywhere in the world. And I said, well, maybe he is the golden child. Maybe he is the one that we need to show this, that, and maybe we need to thank him and be humble and thank his mother and father for putting up with him to put this all together. It must have taken thousands of hours and days, if not years, to put it all together. And I said, better thank him, better thank his parents, and if you want, you can put me on the phone with the guy, but it's a pretty incredible thing that you're there. I mean, it's some sort of blessing, and we are some sort of angels to this kid. Of course, he told me right up front what you had going on
mm-hmm.
physically, and what was going on, and I started to cry, and I said, my God, that's amazing. You better hug that kid like you mean it, and sign everything that you want for him. I don't care if you have to sign it in blood, but that kid deserves everything, and that's why I'm on with you right now, because I remember that day, and I remember what Frank and what Sky said to me over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was all basically about you. Not having that much to do with me, but that you had created this living shrine. He didn't even call it a museum. He called it a living shrine to Frank Dukes. I go, what? I was astounded. I almost couldn't talk. And for me, that would have been a first.
Wow.
So I said, just hug him like you really mean it, and sign everything that you can for him, and endorse it. And I believe that he gave you his bag and this, and he gave you personal articles that he was not intentionally going to do. But after what I told him, he did it. He said, "What good is it to me when to him it means 100 times more?" I said, "That's exactly right. That's what he is still alive for. That's what motivates him in the morning to get up. And there's no bigger fan in the world for Frank W. Dukes than this kid. He is the ultimate, and you can meet guys all around the world, whatever, but he's the one that's the biggest and the greatest and the loyalist fan of all."
Yes,
and he said, you are right again. In your wisdom, you are right again. I said, I'll meet him one day, hopefully before I pass, but I love him already. And you tell him that. And so I think he said, something that who I've got on the line with me and everything, and blah, blah, and he shared some of that with you. Mm-hmm. But I shared some of that with your mom as well in another conversation prior to this. But now I'm sharing it with what? The world and the internet, which is the world. I mean, because the internet is larger than the United States. Mm-hmm. It's larger than North and South America. It now encompasses the whole world. Absolutely. They say that 6 billion people are going to be online before the end of this year.
Wow.
Wow! That's freaking amazing!
It is. It truly is. And I got to tell you, Doc, it was amazing. It was amazing flying out to Seattle and training with Hunchy Dukes and actually seeing his Kumite trophy and stuff up close and personal. I mean, I was just truly amazed. Amazed.
Yeah, well, I mean, you saw that from that period of time and everything, but I mean, you actually went through training and got to see that, and that's where that's where his special little niche is that he's had for some time now, and he doesn't let many people into that particular part of his life, and outside of a dojo. I mean, you actually got to see his daily lifestyle and that as well, and that was a gift.
Yes.
Yeah, and so great timing on your behalf, and I'm sure that you took pictures and you shared that and stuff. And I'm sure that it's part of your living shrine to Frank W. Dukes, who I consider to not only be one of the best martial artists in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but I say when he was in his prime, and I made this statement to him, and I think to Sky Benson, that he was one of the greatest athletes of all time in any sport. And their lips buckled.
Wow.
Because I'm a historian of the sporting world, as well as the film world and the recorded music world as well. And so when I said that to them, they just fell over backwards, because nobody had ever taken the liberty to check him out with other and put him up against Jim Thorpe or other amazing world-class athletes. And he was, man.
Wow.
He was, without a doubt, one of the greatest athletes in the world, not only at that time, but of all modern time.
Wow.
Yeah. And so now you've heard that on record. And I don't want to hear from any people that, we think you're full of crap. We think you're full of whatever. I don't want to hear that. Because in my heart of hearts,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some of the great ones, and I saw all the footage on the ones that were not in my time and everything. Jesse Owens,
Uh-huh.
who I actually met as a little kid. Jim Thorpe. Okay, there's plenty of footage on them, and I put him right up there. And I actually told Eric Lee that, and he said, "Do you really believe that?"
Wow.
And I said, "Eric, you were not there when I saw him in the Kumites, but I can tell you that he was the flying horse. He was the flying dragon, and those Asians, they actually feared him. He had a stance and a kick and a hang time in the air equivalent to Michael Jordan."
Wow.
In the air, and with his legs and everything. And when he kicked you, it was like it was like a stallion kicking you in a stall,
Uh-huh.
kicking you right through and breaking all your ribs.
Wow.
He had that much strength, height, distance, and there was no way for you to get out of the way and stop that.
Wow.
You were out massively done. And I heard Asians speaking in their tongue and everything, and they said, unbeatable.
Unbeatable.
No defense yet. A Bhagwan or non-Bhagwan could they put up to beat and defeat the flying.
Wow.
And years later, I shared that with Frank Dukes, and he asked me to put that on film and actually validate it. And here I am again, and I've done it at least 2 times in 2 documentaries for Frank W. Dukes. I've done that. I have yet to see either one of those documentaries. And by the way, you should see both those documentaries for sure, and have copies of them as part of your museum.
Yeah, I'm actually working on that. I don't think his documentary has been officially released in the U.S. as far as hard copies go.
Well, there are two documentaries, my friend.
Oh, there's two.
There's two documentaries. There's one documentary, and then there's an in-depth documentary by the same team afterwards.
Wow.
There's a documentary that he made, that Frank Dukes made with some other filmmakers, and then there's two guys, I believe out of San Francisco, and they flew down and they interviewed me and taped me for over an hour.
Wow.
And they called up Frank and said, I don't know where you got this guy, but he's the real deal. Just like you said, we got some great stuff from him.
Wow.
I've seen some of the first one, which you should be able to get. And then the second one, you're right. I don't think it's been released in the United States yet, but you might be able to get a foreign copy.
Well, I'm definitely going to work on that because I've been wanting to see those. I've been wanting to see those documentaries for a long time now. So.
Okay, let's move on to the. You should get it, both of them, and let's go on to the next couple of questions.
Okay. My next question is, I want people to know that you're the original Doc Hollywood. Can you talk about how you got that title?
Yeah. Came back from the service, Vietnam era, November 13th, 1968. I've been trying for 3 years to get into Warner Brothers, into their interim program, and it was not easy. I had to actually be interviewed by the assistant to Jack Warner himself, who was his personal assistant for 37 years. And I got in with that guy, and I said, you can interview me all you want, but you know what? You should have Jack Warner interview me so I know that I'm unflappable, and I will get in there no matter what. He said, are you serious? That guy eats up people and spits them out for breakfast. And I asked him to, show me some footage on him and his brothers and everything. And I said, well, what's he really like? He said, the guy wants to be a wannabe stand-up comedian like a Jack Benny. I said, really? Okay. So I'm not much one for, telling jokes, but there was a guy that I knew, a comedian by the name of Joey Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Joey Adams had a couple of books out, and one of them was I Can Tell 10,000 Jokes verbatim. And so he wrote down a lot of his jokes in his paperback book, and they were in categories and everything. So I said, you know what? I'm going to memorize the jokes about rabbis and about priests. A priest meets a rabbi and a blah, blah, blah. Because I know that Jack Warner's Jewish. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I must have memorized 150 jokes verbatim. I mean, really funny stuff, and the stuff that I could deliver, bam, 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 bam. I mean, you'd be laughing through it, and then I already start with the next joke.
Mm-hmm.
They call topping it that, okay? So I went in there, and Jack Warner had his desk built on an elevated platform, and no matter if you were 6'4", John Wayne, he was still as tall as you.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And I knew that. So what I did was I went around the side so that I was on the same site and platform as him, and we were both the same height and everything, and he wasn't this big giant and everything. And to the side, and I could actually reach out and touch him, and I remember that he was in his pinstripe suit and everything. And he was very elegant, and I was in a suit as well. And I said, you know, my mom, you know, used to work for this person, and my godfather is the greatest producer, director, writer that you ever had. And he said, well, who's that? And he said, it's Mervyn LeRoy. And he went, oh, Mervyn LeRoy? You're the godson of Mervyn LeRoy? And I said, yeah, that's right, Jack. And I said, did you hear the one about the rabbi that crossed the road just so he could beat the chicken over the head of the Catholic priest? And he started laughing, and then I went into like 4 or 5 other jokes. Mm-hmm. And he said, did you just come out of Nam era? And did you get an honorable discharge and everything? He said, were you hurt bad, kid? I said, they broke my back. And they tortured me for 3 days and 3 nights. He said, son of a bitch! He said, look, kid, whenever I see you on the back lot, and I stop you, you got to tell me a joke right on the spot so that I can have a new joke, a fresh new joke. If you don't tell me a joke on the spot, I'll fire you right there and then, right there. I said, really? I said, okay. And I put my hand out, and he put his hand out, and he shook my hand, and he said, you know what, kid? I like you. I'm going to show you a couple of things. And I go, oh, yeah, okay. Shows me a private winery in his office. You know, beautiful cascades of wine and everything. And then, years before his time, he's got a friggin' ass hot tub. Wait. That he has actresses, whatever, you know, and he goes and he takes a hot tub, whatever, and he has champagne brought in and everything. And I said, Jack, that really is really amazing, and I think because I heard from and I named a big mogul from another studio, and he said that you couldn't wipe your ass with Betty Davis, who is your client. And he said that, huh? He said that. And in that way, he said, you know what? I make more money off Betty Davis than I do with even John Wayne. Betty Davis, when I rent her out, I get a fuck of a lot of money. I said, you get more than $1 million a week? Fuck yes. And I said, you are amazing. I will go back and tell that mogul that he is full of shit, and that you proved it to me. And then he said, you know what? Tell him a couple of jokes and then put him on his ass. I said, okay. All right, Mr. Funny Guy. I'll tell him a couple of jokes. And then, it was Harry Kahn, by the way. Harry Kahn, who supposedly had the world taped to his butt. He knew everybody, and he had him in his hip pocket. And so Harry, this is way before your time. And I said, I'll go back and I'll tell Harry Conn 3 or 4 jokes in a row, and I'll get him blitzed laughing, and then I'll hit him with it. And you know what?
What?
Jack Warner proved to me that you're full of shit because he showed me 2 stubs that you paid X amount of dollars for Betty Davis. And if you didn't stupor on top of that, whatever, shame on you. And I know you paid a lot of money, but you got your money's worth out of it on those films. I know you did. So you were stretching the truth there a little bit. And when I went back to tell Harry Conn the jokes and everything, he was trying to get me out of his office in 5 minutes. I was there for 55 minutes, had him laughing in a pool of tears. And then I said, you know, the irony of this, and he says, oh, you're going to do the killer joke of all time now. I said, this is the killer joke of all time. Jack Warner showed me the pay stubs that you paid for Betty Davis and everything. So what you said was really not the truth, and you stretched it. And he said, you know what? You just learned one of the biggest lessons in Hollywood in all your life. Nobody gets to moguls like you do, kid, and gets this kind of stuff out of them. So you are privileged, but that's the way Hollywood works. And then he came back with that great statement. It's all smoke and mirrors, kids. It's all smoke and mirrors. And you know what? Jack Warner said the same thing. That's what his brothers told him, too. It's all smoke and mirrors. So I'm going to go on and give you 2 more questions, and then I got
Absolutely.
I got dinner.
Absolutely, Doc. One of my final questions is, I remember in a past email we were talking about Billy Ray Cyrus. Did you do any type of promoting for him or something when he first came out?
Yeah. You know, I'm forgetting the guy that actually found him and actually got him signed. And they told that guy that he was a one-hit wonder. So I told the guy, and I think his name was Jack, ironically enough. You have to look him up, but he's the guy who actually got him under contract and had him on the road for 2.5 years without a break.
Wow.
And he took Achy Breaky to every saloon, every this, every that, and he took them all over the world, man. And in 2.5 years, that guy made enough money that he tried to put out a second album, and he just didn't find that kind of hit, or he didn't have the success. But what happened was he and his wife created a daughter, and Disney took a big interest in Miley Cyrus. And he said the only way that I can let you have a contract with my daughter is that me and my wife, we're on that contract too, because she's well under 18. And he said, I want to be on the set, and I'll play this role, the role of her father. And who better to play that than me? I have the credentials and blah, blah, blah.
Alert from Facebook. New notification.
So he did that. He made a lot of money. And then I think he has put out a couple of albums since then, either on his own label, and also I think he sang a couple of times with Miley and some other people. But you know, a lot of people don't know that he's probably worth more than $150 million, and I know for a fact that Miley Cyrus is worth more than that.
Wow.
Yeah. So they created a Cyrus dynasty.
Uh-huh.
So he has a huge ranch, and his own studio, and all kinds of stuff. He has a lot of stuff. He just doesn't advertise or have a publicist out there putting him out there all the time. Miley used to, but I heard that Miley is planning an engagement and to get married.
Wow.
I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'd like to use her as an actress in a couple of vehicles, if she's out there or her people are out there. Give me a call, give me a holler, and let me see what I can put together for you, because I know that Miley Cyrus has her own production company. Okay, you got one more question. Ready?
Let's see, Doc. My last question is actually more of a statement. I just wanted to say thank you for, being a good friend to me and answering my emails, and I just feel truly blessed to even know you, and it's a precious gift.
Time and memories and friendship are a precious gift, and I want that everyone should know that. And I wish I could answer all of your emails, but I can't because of time, and I'm on the road or doing something else, or you want me to try out another social network service, and I can't because I'm overloaded with them at the time. But when it comes to it, putting your dukes up, I'm there for you, and I've got your back. So, and I want everyone should know that. And thank you. I'm humbled to have the opportunity to be your friend and your parents' friends as well. That's part of the family, and we are family. And Frank Dukes considers you to be family now. Do you know that, or do you not know that? And that is a fact.
I know that, sir. I absolutely know that, because somebody had said something to Frank about he should have a son, and me and him was eating dinner, and he says, "I don't need a son. I already have one," and he pointed directly at me.
Ha! There you go. Right on record. He did it. Right.
Yes, sir.
He did it. So there, and there it was, and it's on record. And I don't know what you're going to do with this amazing little interview here, but I'm sure that it's going to go viral, and hopefully you're going to get a lot more fans, because you can put this on your radio show, you can put this on YouTube, you can put this on Viewmasters. I don't know.
Well,
you can show this in your museum to your mom and dad and stuff. But I think a lot of your fans and your friends, this might be of interest to them.
Absolutely, and I wanted to make one last comment, Doc. You know how we talked about these people on the internet, try to cause drama for Frank or any one of us. Well, I got a comment on my Frank Dukes interview actually stating that my interview was scripted.
Your interviews have never been scripted, and I know that for a fact because I asked your mother, and your mother would never lie to me.
Absolutely.
They're always off the top of your head. They're unscripted. They're total reality, and they are what they are. They are precious moments of time put together, and they are not scripted. And you have never, ever, ever sent me an email with anything remotely looking like a script, and that I have to know these lines or whatever. I never did that with the documentaries for Frank Dukes either. It was always off the top of my head and my memory.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And so that's probably what's keeping me sharp right now. And so I'm going on record by saying that, and I'm standing behind you, that you've never done any kind of scripted interviews, either on radio, TV, or internet, ever before, and I don't think you're going to start doing it.
No.
So there you go, fans. I want to thank all the people out there that are listening, and the ones that will soon be listening and watching. And I want to know that it was my birthday today, and it was my privilege to give back to you all, including my friend here, who did a great job today as the MC. And I just hope you all enjoyed it. And if you got any poo-poo letters, whatever, don't send me those emails. Don't put poo-poos on Facebook. I don't want to know about that. Just collect that with your own Kleenex boxes and be done with it. I don't want to know about that stuff.
Well said, Doc.
I'm too busy moving on and trying to work with Mother Nature and trying to rebalance the harmony with this sphere we call Earth.
Yeah, and I just thought of one more thing, Doc. Before I let you go, do you want to promote Orinda while we're on here?
No.
Oh, okay.
Orinda, if Orinda is doing a great job for you, that is fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really, really happy. But I am in the midst of creating my own formulas, and I'm working with other doctors and with other colleagues, and the stuff is so advanced, even beyond Orinda and the tubers. It's astounding. So I can't even talk about that stuff now.
Oh, okay, Doc. I just wanted to give you a chance to promote anything that you would like
It's
before we ended
10:30.
this interview.
Let me just say, whatever heals you and whatever works and makes you feel better,
Mm-hmm.
I promote it.
Oh,
I promote it.
absolutely, Doc.
Okay, so that's what I say. So, and I got a lot of healing that I got to do myself. So thank you for the opportunity, but those guys are doing well, and the Chinese doctor on the West Coast, she's doing phenomenally well, and she's their poster person.
Spokesperson,
And,
yes.
Yeah, she has 10,000 signed people under her.
Holy cow!
And a lot of them are doctors. Yeah.
Wow.
She has more than 10,000, and she signs up people around the country and around the world every single day. That is her thing. Okay. I couldn't keep up with her on the pace and do all the things that I wanted to do, and so, you know, that's why I just, you know, politely declined.
Mm-hmm.
But I did make the statement: whatever makes you feel better and whatever works for you,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably a good product. And like my grandmother used to say, if it doesn't kill you, it may make you better. So if it doesn't kill you, it may make you better. So I mean, there's a lot of wisdom in what she said there. But I'm working on my own a nutritional line, and I should have it out fairly shortly, and I'm real happy with some of the stuff that I'm coming up with, because it'll be part of my legacy.
Absolutely, Doc. And if you need help with advertising when your stuff comes out, I'd be happy to help and network that stuff for you, because I know you don't have a lot of time, you know, to do so.
I can tell you that I've gone back and I've gone out into the woods all by myself. I've gone out to the desert all by myself. I've gone out to rainforests and jungles all by myself. And I've come to know that I'm more harmonious with nature and the surroundings that we have around us. And I'm more supportive of nature than I am about building malls and about building skyscrapers. I'm more supportive about family unit and nature and the survival of man here, and feeding people that are going hungry and missing 2 meals every day. More than 25 million people, including children, go eating 1 meal a day, and 1 meal is maybe they got lucky out of a dumpster.
Wow.
So I heard that there was as many as 75 million people, and that the 25 million was the only number that the government, the federal government, would admit to. But I heard it was closer like to 75 million.
Wow.
And that is an astounding thing when we're giving money all over the world to third world countries and the like. And in our own country, 75 million people are missing 2 meals a day and are lucky to eat 1 meal.
Wow.
Oh my God, I just went berserko. And I said, that's can't be. So I've teamed up with a guy that you probably heard of, Jamie Oliver.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I'm on Jamie Oliver's big team to raise awareness of nutrition and to get people fed in rural areas and everything, and to change the diets of people in schools that are nasty, not good diets, just hollow calories and too much sugar, too much salt. And I'm working with his food revolution, and I welcome anybody to go see it on Facebook or whatever. And he has his own television shows from London, and the guy's brilliant, and he will change that around in time in this country with the workforce and the small group that he has, which is expanding every day, and with awareness. And that's something that I would like to see before I pass on, that everybody gets at least 3 square meals, no matter who you are. Because from what I've been told, people in penal institutions, they get at least 2 to 3 meals a day without fail.
Wow.
But people who are out there, whatever, in the rural parts, whatever, I mean, there are really poverty people who don't have any shoes that somebody's doing something about, and but not to eat, but only once a meal, once every 24 hours, and your belly's bloated, from drinking water, just so you won't hear your stomach, gurgle and growl and snap at you. That's pretty amazing.
Exactly.
In our own country. So I leave that with you. Hopefully we can resolve that and move on. And I just, God bless America. And these are tough times. And we'll get through these tough times.
Absolutely, Doc. And if there's any way I can help the cause at all, please contact me, and I will help you with anything that I can.
Thank you, brother. God bless you.
God bless you, Doc.
Love to you and your family and your parents. And thanks for a wonderful interview. And I hope this goes viral.
I do too, Doc. And my last statement is I hope to one day actually get the opportunity to meet you and to take photos and to sit down and talk with you.
Well, you did sit down and talk with me now, brother, because I'm sure you got a good hour and a half in.
Yeah, yes, sir.
According to my watch, you did. So
yes, sir. And I'm very grateful.
It's all there. So you sat down with me and you photographed me and you got the audio portion on there. You are good to go.
Thank you, sir.
Take care, my friend. God bless.
God bless
Bye-bye,
you.
friends.